Hey, glad you could join us today. We're doing a little short hop over from Glacier Park International in Montana to Eugene, Oregon in the Citation CJ4. Doing this as an IFR flight. We left just before daylight and climbed up above the clouds. Got some great shots here of the sunrise coming up here in the west. Or in the east, I'm sorry. A little slow getting the stream started this morning. I was just playing around in Microsoft Flight Sim and decided I'd jump in here on the stream. So we are already in progress. If you can see for flight there, we took off at Glacier Park International on runway, I believe it was 02. Yeah, we took off on 02. We did the Keeley 1 departure with the eyes transition. And then now we just made past eyes here, and we are now direct to I think that's Walla Walla. Let's see here if I can figure that out. I believe that is it's the Walla Walla VOR. So we're direct Walla Walla, and then from there we'll be direct over to Eugene, and we're going to take the ILS for 16 left with the shed transition in there. We'll brief the approach as we get a little closer, but our initial approach fix is going to be at 3,600, and we'll pick up the glide slope on our final approach fix at 2,000 and come on in there on runway 16 left. So hopefully this is coming through quite well for you. We'll take a little hop outside the plane here just to see where we're at. It is quite the sight in Microsoft Flight Sim to look out above the clouds here and see the sunrise. Makes for some pretty good screenshots there. We didn't get a picture there of that. Probably taking way too many screenshots. We'll jump back in here, take a look at our FMS here, pull up our flight plan, KGPI, the KEUG, that's Eugene, Oregon. We are now direct to the Walla Walla VOR. Then we'll go direct from there to the shed transition into the ILS of 16 left at Eugene. Take a look at our legs. We can go back here. There was the eyes transition off of the Keeley 1 departure. There's our VOR for Walla Walla shed. So 3,600 is our altitudes there. We'll use the VNAV feature as we descend down. Let's take a look here where we are in altitude. We're approaching our flight level 380, which is what our cruise altitude is going to be today. We're going through flight level 360 right now. We're climbing in flight level change mode, and we are right around indicated airspeed of 222 knots. Probably pick that up to about 250 and slow our rate of descent. We'll actually just leave that down around 220, 225 for now till we get up to speed. Get up to our altitude. We'll climb a little bit faster. Go ahead and get our flight level 380. Estimated en route time today was 1 hour and 38 minutes. We are roughly we're 382 nautical miles away from our destination. We're covering 370 knots across the ground with our true airspeed right now indicated at about 223 knots in the air. And we are at almost at our 37,000, flight level 370 on en route to flight level 380. And there's our altitude hold is coming in here. We will watch our speed as we level out. I believe we don't need our logo light anymore. Picked up the mod for the all black interior. I love this black leather and this black dash. Picked this up yesterday. Flightsim.to. It's pretty sweet. Also picked up a new paint job, the red and white stripes on the Citation CJ4. Running the working title CJ4 mod. If you haven't given that a shot, I would highly recommend you give it a shout. Do you know somebody called Red? Santa Red. Do you know somebody called Red? I don't know what you mean by do I know somebody called Red. Red is dead, or is his name Fred? I don't know. I'm being a little bit silly, I'm sure. But Dan, nice to have you on the stream watching this morning. Tell me what you mean by Red. Watch our speed here. We're at 380, and we should be able to pull this down into the cruise detent now. Look at our throttles there. There is detent here. And this is a FADEC throttle, so we have to kind of watch our speed. We don't want to get up into the red and overspeed here. If I calculated this right, we looked in ForeFlight earlier today, our 38,000 feet. We had a 2-knot headwind. It's changed just a little bit, but we should get fairly decent fuel economy at this level. So we are approximately 116 miles from the Walla Walla VOR currently. Do you know someone called Santa Red? I do not know Santa Red. I don't know if I should know Santa Red, but let me know who that is. It's a great shot of the plane there above the clouds with the sunrise. A screenshot there of that. So we've been in flight now for about 23 minutes. We've reached our cruise altitude of flight level 380. And we are going to walk through the VNAV features of the CJ4 as we make our descent down into Eugene. Unfortunately, Eugene doesn't have a star, a standard terminal arrival. So normally when you fly the star, you end up with some several different altitude step downs there, and you really get to take advantage of that vertical profile, or the VNAV portion within the flight management computer here. So today, though, it looks like really the only thing we need to do is get down to our 3600. We'll take a look at the plate here for our approach and be briefed up on it ahead of time. So you can see our initial approach fix is FIPMA. And FIPMA we need to be at 3,600. And you can see that in the FMS here. 3,600 at or above. And I'm not sure what I-243 is. That waypoint was put in there on the approach, but we'll already be at 3,600 on that. Shed, we'll go ahead and do this. We'll put in an altitude of 4,000 at Shed. Just to go ahead and give you an example there, so you can see I manually plugged in that 4,000 foot. So what we'll do is we'll set our altitude pre-select down to our lowest altitude of 3,600 as we get ready to approach into Eugene. We'll go on to VNAV mode, and we will let the airplane take us down to that descent. It will pick the top of descent for us, and it will descend us right on down into that altitude nicely. So really, you get to really take the most advantage of that when you're flying a star, a standard terminal arrival. Unfortunately, Eugene, being only a Class D, doesn't have the arrival like that, like the Charlies and the Bravos do. This is what we're doing today, so we just thought we'd fly it. And may try to do the same flight a little bit later today on Pilot Edge. Did some flying last night on VATSIM over on the East Coast. Just wanted to check things out here on the West Coast a little bit today. So we're about 90 miles from Walla Walla VOR here. We'll make a slight right-hand turn there and make direct to Shed at that point. So I'm running the Honeycomb Alpha yoke with the Logitech radio panel, Logitech multi-panel. And I've currently got a Thrustmaster T16000 throttle over here that you probably can't see, running an iPad with 4Flight on it. And I have the Logitech throttle quadrant as well. Saving up the money, and the availability actually is the real problem right now to get a hold of the Honeycomb Bravo throttle quadrant. I think that is the cat's meow and probably the best there is out there right now, but just getting that availability right now and finding it to be able to buy it is the real challenge. So as soon as that becomes available, hopefully in this first quarter of 2021, I'll be able to get my hands on one of those. I'm really looking forward to that because it has so versatile to whether you're flying airliners, whether you're flying GA, and I do a lot of GA flying. I fly the Bonanza G36 a lot. Here in Microsoft Flight Sim, I fly the Cessna 172. And I picked up the Piper Seminole, the PA-44 twin-engine aircraft, and that is a fun airplane as well to fly. It's got the Garmin 530 GPS in that for the avionics, and it's quite fun. It's a little bit of a challenge with the autopilot on that bird because it doesn't have the altitude pre-select, so you manage all your vertical speeds, or you manage your altitude with the VS mode, and you can change that and adjust that down closer to 0 as you level out to slow your ascent or descent, and then hit the altitude select or altitude hold mode once you reach the desired altitude. So you have to really be on top of that and manage it a little bit more. It's not quite as automated as some of the autopilots are, like the G1000 or even other 530s, but that particular autopilot in the PA-44 Seminole, you have to manage the altitude a little bit closer to yourself. We are definitely above the clouds today as we fly out on the west coast on our way over to Eugene, Oregon. We watched the sunrise this morning. We left Glacier Park International probably a little before, I don't know. Well, it was 30 minutes ago, so it is 10:15 where I'm at, so that was 2 off of that, or is it 3? 2 hours at least. 8, it's probably about 7:15 this morning, so it was before daylight. Or no, 6:45-ish, I guess. 6:45 a.m. departing out of Glacier Park. We climbed up above the clouds and start to see the sunrise, so it's quite a beautiful sight this morning. So here we take a look here. We are 67 miles away from our Walla Walla VOR. And we probably are bucking a little bit of a wind because we're crabbing, as you can tell looking here, off our desired track. So we are flying a heading of 217 and tracking 211 as we're 65 miles now away from Walla Walla. That is the ALW. That's what that stands for. Take a look down here in the FMS, flight plan, legs, and Eugene being our final destination. We're going to go in on runway 16 left on the ILS, and we can go here and we can look at our approach next. And our approach speed is going to be 113 today, with our VREF of 106 as we cross the numbers. Should be able to see that over here on the tape, but we'll have to pick that up a little bit later. It showed earlier when we were on the ground. If I look up here, references, there's our VREF and V approach right there, 120 and 114. Those will be on the speed tape as we get down. They'll be bugged, so we'll be able to see those as we get in. Set up for our landing and our approach. 58 miles now from the Walla Walla VOR. Take a look here at our throttles. We are in the cruise detent right now at 93.6, and we could probably pick up that pace just a little bit and pick up a little bit more speed Probably about 250 something knots will be our red line here, so we'll go ahead and bump that up just a little bit, as long as we stay in that cruise detent. Go ahead and gain a little bit of speed here. Wasn't really managing that, paying attention. If you've ever flown the Citation Longitude here in Microsoft Flight Sim, it has the auto throttles, and that's a pretty neat feature. The CJ4 here has the VNAV, which actually works, where the Longitude it doesn't. But with this working title CJ4 mod, the VNAV and all the actual autopilot and the flight management system computer there have really been modded and working quite well. But you have to manage the throttles and airspeed yourself. You get into the Longitude, it's got the Garmin G5000, which is a pretty nice autopilot actually, and it's pretty usable. I've flown it a few times. I like it. It's got the auto throttles, which you don't give as the VNAV profile and the vertical navigation on your approaches, so you have to manage a lot of that yourself. Hopefully that thing will come around here in the near future as Microsoft and Asobo get a few things worked out here in the coming months, and if not, a lot of these other third-party developers out there making updates are really doing us well. I am waiting on the Track IR system to come in. Currently, I'm using Smooth Track on my iPhone to do to looking around inside the cabin, which works pretty well. I'm happy with it for the most part. It's not perfect, but it does work pretty well. It's hard to beat the price of Smooth Track when it compared to IR Track, but I've heard a lot of good things about the IR Track. Looking forward to putting that on my headset and getting that configured. It was actually supposed to deliver last night. UPS sent me a message, said it would be here by 9 p.m. It did not make it, and I got an email today, said it was rescheduled for delivery Monday, January the 4th. So happy New Year's to me. I got to wait till after the holidays to get it. And unfortunately, I'm traveling next week for work, so I'm going to be out of town the 4th and back in on Friday. So yeah, when I get home, I'll get to try it out then, I suppose. So, all right, so we're 38 miles from Walla Walla now. Go ahead and take a look here at our departure legs. Let's look at the waypoints here. So we got the 2 waypoint, next waypoints. Oh, I got to get into the. There we go. There's our 2 waypoint here, and our next waypoint: Shed, Fitma, Zunax, which is our final approach fix, and then right on into runway. All right, so we'll take a look here. We're approaching redline speeds there. We're at about 255 knots. So we'll pull back on the throttle just a little bit here. See if we can't get ourselves right below that. There we go. We'll ride right on the borderline there. Done a little research on that, and basically that's what these pilots do, because the guys that own these type of private jets like this, they're not really concerned about the money and the fuel economy. They're concerned about getting there as fast as they possibly can. So that said, these guys fly these things right on the edge of the envelope. And let's see, can I get to a position? I thought I was at a position earlier. Lower level, there we go. Let's get this thing down to position. Boom, there we are. .248 knots over the ground. We're making a ground track speed of 437 knots, so we are trucking right along. Let's take a look outside again, see how we're doing. Picked up a new paint job on the CJ4 yesterday. Pretty happy with it. I like red. Got the red and black stripes there on it, or whatever you want to call those. I guess they're strikes of some sort. 716 Delta Mike, that's the call sign I use most regularly online when I'm playing. I use that for Pilot Edge and Bat Sim. Whether I'm flying a Cessna 172, a TBM, or a Beechcraft Baron, Bonanza, or whatever it is I'm flying in the Citation CJ4, as well as the Longitude. That seems to be the call sign I like. So I guess everybody has their things, but that's what I usually go with. So what about it, Dan TDM? Santa Claus come see you this year, man. You playing a little Flight Sim 2020 yourself this year? Or do you do X-Plane, or what do you do? Or do you just enjoy watching gaming videos on Twitch, or do you enjoy watching Flight Sims? What is it you like? Also going to play with the resolution here. I'm running this on a 49-inch screen, ultra-wide monitor. I'm going to adjust my resolution. That's kind of why it has the narrow look here and the black bars at the top and bottom. It gives me room to throw the camera views up there and the ForeFlight up on the screen. But don't know what that looks like on the end user viewing this, if it's hard to read this stuff. So I might try playing with the resolutions a little bit and maybe make it more closely to a 1920 by 1080, which is what my actual stream output is, but try to get that screen a little bit bigger on there. So I'll tweak that. Let me know what you think. If it looks good, if it looks bad, if it's okay, let me know. I just need a little feedback on it. Probably don't need this floodlight anymore with the sun coming up on us. Should be able to see pretty good. Had to have those lights this morning in the dark. So we're 5 miles now from Walla Walla VOR. We should be crossing over the top of that, making a slight jog to the right. As you can see, 3.4 miles now. I'm looking right here on our MFD, or multifunction panel, multi-flight display. PFD over here, primary flight display. And here we are at the Walla Walla VOR. We just making our right-hand turn now. Get a shot of that. What is that? That is so cool. Love the reflection of the sun. Makes for some cool screenshots, doesn't it? Look out over the dash. We're cloud surfing today, aren't we? So you can see on ForeFlight, we made our turn at Walla Walla, and we are 221 miles to our next waypoint, which is Shred, which will be as we make our approach into Eugene there. Let's get down here and take a look at some things. Hold there. There we go. get my green screen back out today and cover up all this stuff behind me. I usually have that out. Grabbed a piece of plywood here and a sawhorse and made me a little table over here last night for a quick setup. Wanted to put my throttle over here. Get my throttle repositioned down here to my right here soon. I got to come up with a little stand to hold that throttle. $2,000 is going to be our final approach leg there. Let's go ahead and get into our altitude pre-select here. You're going to see that happening right here on the right. Whoop, 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 whoop. We want altitude hold. I need 39,000. What's that flight level at here? Was that 38,000? I was playing with the wrong buttons there. 380. On our altitude hold mode now. I am rolling this down to 2,000. We'll look at the FMS, 2,000 feet. That's what we want for our. A little bit concerned with that. All right, yeah, it's holding. Let's go ahead. Put this down to 2,000. The only thing we're going to have to manage is our throttles here so that we don't overspeed. Quite a ways for me to set up our descent here, so we'll hold off on that. Money shot. Still got the moon over there and the sunrise over here. A little looking around the cabin here with a smooth track. Really looking forward to the track IR. Ready for that to come in. Alright, so 173 miles to shed. We want to be at 4,000 feet when we get there. Yaw damper autopilot disconnect. So you can do them individually, you can hit that one and kill them both at the same time. Alright, let's go ahead and hit our VNAV button here. What you'll see now is this V alt activated here. Let's pull back here on the throttles. Overspeed. Go ahead and start our descent here. We will have to manage our throttles here. So we strive to keep under the speed tape here. A couple of things that are pretty cool about this plane. Step out here on the wings. We have these spoilers right here. See how those are opening up? Those are like speed brakes. And they slow us down. I had to put those back away. That's pretty neat. Good way of managing your speed there as you're coming down on your descents. Okay, we are 142 miles from Shed. We got to be at 4,000. We're descending down through flight level 300, 30,000 feet now. On our way to flight level 290, and a long way still yet to go. For the sake of time, we'll push our speed up a little bit here. We'll add a little bit of throttle and push ourselves up closer to that 300 knots for the red line there. Try to stay below that. We'll gain a little airspeed here as we add a little bit of throttle, and we're on our 2,000 something foot per minute descent. Flight level 280 now. We'll have to go off of the standard barrel as we get down below flight level 180. And you can see our top of descent here. Flight level 260 now. We are creeping in on our airspeed of 300 knots in the red line, so we're going to pull the throttle back just a little bit. Now we're descending down through flight level 250. We are 129 miles away from Shed, where we need to be at that 4,000 foot elevation. Throttles here. Not quite into the idle position, but we are not far from it. Let's go ahead and get some de-icing on here as we get ready to go down through the clouds. A little bit of bumps. Still riding that 300 knot line there, just below the red line on the speed tape on the left hand side of the PFD. Going through flight level 190 right now, and we will transition at flight level 180 back down to whatever the barometric pressure is, so we'll have to pick up that, get a little bit of an adjustment.
Destination ATIS is 125.225.
225. We won't get ATIS because we're not running with real ATC right now. Let's go ahead and actually hold our altitude here.
Altitude.
Turn off our hold up here at 16,000. Alright, we captured our altitude there. Going to bring us down to about 4,000. We're going to manage this out a little bit on our own. $295 knots. We need to get up here off of our
altitude.
One, 2, 5, 2, 2. Let's see if we can. 300.
3000.
Mr. altimeter here, 300. Right on the edge of that speed there at 300 knots. Power back just a smidge. 92 miles to shed. You can see I've engaged the vertical nav again, and top of descent is listed there in front of us on the MFD here, and this is where we are, and obviously we would need to reach 4,000 by shed, which is still 82 miles away. $3000. What is our altimeter at? 3018 is what it currently shows. Good here. Get ourselves prepped as we get ready to descend down through these clouds. Got our anti-ice on. We're going to go with 10,000. We'll turn on our landing lights. Ignition set left and right to manual. Auto ignition, just in case on our descent we were to lose an engine. $68 miles now. And we're approaching our top of descent here soon. See a mountain peeking through over to our left. The clouds right there. I think that was a mountain. It could have been just a cloud, but it sure looks like a mountain peak over there, don't it? We should be clear of any mountains right here, though. Mount Jefferson. That's probably what I saw way off to my left there. Approaching our top of descent here. You see V out and path is now armed in the PFD. We will have to get ready to control the throttles as we start our descent down into Eugene, Oregon. We'll dive down through some clouds here. We'll go IMC for sure here in a moment. 48 miles from Shed. There comes our descent. All right, pull back on the throttles. So we don't overspeed. A little bit bumpy here, some turbulence. Here comes our snowflake on the PFD, which is right here. That's going to start our vertical descent using the VNAV feature. All right, we're descending down to 4,000 now. What was that supposed to be? 3,600. Speed here a little bit. Passing through 14,000. Just went through 13,000. We need to get ourselves down to about 250 knots now as we get down to about 10,000. That's the rule of thumb here. Below 10,000, under 250 knots. So getting there, so we're going to go ahead and open up some spoilers. Bring our speed down pretty quickly. There's 255 knots as we go through 11,000. Miles away from shed now. 258 knots, 11,000. On our way down to 4,000. It's looking good. Airspeed's looking good. 250 knots. Approach speed is 113. That's where we want to be as we get on our final. $7,000 on our way down to 4,000. We are 10 miles from shed, coming up on our 4,000. 8 miles. Looking for 4,000 at Shed. We want 3,600 at Fitma. 2,000 at Zinex. Seven miles, passing through 6,000 now.
Altitude.
4,500 and we're a mile and a half from Shed. We're going to be right at our 4,000 feet as we cross Shed, just like we needed to be. "2,000 feet now is pre-selected. 2,000 feet is where we'll pick up our glide slope. And there we're crossing Shed. We're going to arm 3,600 now. You see that in pink. And we should be getting ready to make our left-hand turn, and we are making our left-hand turn. "225 knots, that's looking good. We're going to need to shed some speed anyway as we get on in here. "200 knots. So 200 knots is a maximum gear operating speed. So at 200 we can put our gear down. We cannot see the runway right now. We are in cloud. We are IMC for sure. Down below 200 now, so we are safe for our gear extension. Keep shedding a little bit of speed. We're still pretty good. About 14 miles out from the airport. Actually 18 miles out from the airport. Pretty good shape now. We're dropping just below 4,000. We're looking for 3,600 now at Fitma. About 1.4 miles from there, so we'll slowly descend on down to 3,600. Then we'll make our way down to 2,000 at Zunex. You can see Zunex here, about 14 miles from there. There we go. Another little slow light left-hand jog here. So we make our way on to the final. Getting ourselves lined up here on the runway. "111.75 is a localizer. That is what's set. We'll go here to the FMS real quick. We'll take a look at the tune. 111.75 nav 1, that is what's tuned. Looking good there. Can already see the blue line here below us. This would be the VOR lining herself up. We're tracking like we should. Go to tune again. Looking good right there. There we go. We're going down to 2,000. We'll pull our speed back a little bit more. Go ahead and get us speed brakes going on and get ourselves down to around 150 to 120. We'll get ourselves lined up here. Get ourselves set up in approach mode. By the time we get to Zunax, we want to be flaps extended, so I'm going to go ahead and go first notch of flaps. Gears coming down. Second notch flaps are coming in. Here's our approach speed of 120. So we'll control the throttles a little bit. You can see that bugged on the speed tape to our left. 119, 120. So I'm going to hold it right there. We should be fully flaps extended. Gears down, and we'll see what we can do here to line ourselves up on the runway. I see lights on the runway. So we are lining up. Looking good. 127. We need to come back on the speed just a smidge. Get ourselves down to 120. Back on the throttle a little bit. Let the speed come off. We need to go to approach mode here.
Altitude.
There's our approach for the glide slope. We are at 120. We're right on our approach speed now. Just a smidge of power. I see Pappy's 2 red, 2 white. We're looking good there. $119. About 1.2 miles from our final approach fix, and where we'll pick up the glide slope. Glide slope is armed, and the ILS will take us down from 2,000 right down to the runway. We'll deactivate the autopilot when we're about 500 feet off the ground. That's a good shot. Our 120 still. Looking good. Gears in the green. All the engines are in the green. Flaps are full. Gears down. Runway in sight. We're on the glide path. Passing through 1800. Still, the speed is still good at 120. Watching our speed now, watching our speed. We're right on in. We'll do an autopilot disconnect here shortly. Still looking good, still looking good. 122. There's 121. 1300.
2 mile final runway 16 left.
2 mile final. 2 red, 2 white. We're looking good on the path. We're sitting right on 120 on our approach speed. Autopilot's disengaged. One, 120. Good, looking good. Runway is made. Power's coming out. Power to idle. Oh, I flared it too much. We are on the ground, boys. Not too bad, not too bad. Flared it just a little too much. That's a little bit tricky. We made the turn off here. Let's get itself clear. Stop ourselves here. Clean up the plane. Flaps are up. Spoiler's going down. Well, spoilers are down. Wish I could see that actually move. Clear left, clear right. Taxi back here. And that is Eugene, Oregon. Never been there. Not even in the sim. Not really sure much about this place. As far as what's here. Or where we really need to be, but doesn't look like there's a whole lot really modeled here. We're gonna park ourselves right out here. All right, let's engage the parking brake. Parking brake is set. Engines are going off. And we'll shut things down here. All right, that's looking good. Generator. And we can go down into dispatch mode. That'll get us. And we will kill the battery. And that's going to do it. We had a safe flight in from Glacier Park International to Eugene, Oregon, with an ILS to runway 16 left. And flight time was 1 hour, 27 minutes. And everything went pretty smooth. So glad you joined us today. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. But anyway, it's fun to me. So until then, take care. We'll see you next time. Later.